Do you guys know your teachers were rock stars? They're amazing, amazing. We got OD in that Jeep. Love that. Next time, I'm riding shotgun. Shout out to my first hour. Sophomores, that was, no, again, come on, shout out. Okay, there we go. We got 3 of them. Shout out to Mrs. Inc. and Mr. Anderson, because this week is not an easy week to put together. Guys, this is a year-long of planning. Hey, shout out your parents for being booster parents. So if they're booster parents, thank them. Look at your English teacher right now and thank your English teacher for bringing you here each day. They have the choice, and they made the choice to bring you, okay? You guys give tech a hand every period of every week. Mr. Crash and the tech crew, okay? A lot of hard work. I'm gonna get right to it. These are my favorite periods, as they are for many of you. Students are my favorite. And we've got Vicki Kruk is up first. Give her a hand.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to give a couple of shout-outs. First to Miss Marsh for her love of pickles and for my daily banana. Next to Miss Braverman. In her class, I met some of my best friends. Next to the math cohort and Miss Harding. She's up there. Next to Miss Baldessano. And finally, Miss Ink's first period AP Lit class. Okay, so this is my Common App essay. In Polish cuisine, pickling vegetables is intrinsic. To such an extent that in elementary school, I was confused about why my peers would be disgusted with me bringing pickles and pickled mushrooms every day for lunch. I was ridiculed for it and for my speech and pronunciation. Speech therapy has been a frequent, recurring pest since I was a toddler. I hated speech therapy. Futile activities like gargling water and playing Jenga were why I was called out of class multiple times a week. My only desire was to keep learning with the rest of my class, to be like a normal kid, yet it was necessary, since there is no circumstance in which I'd ever say any word of the TH sound or speak to anyone in public. I religiously avoided words like Thursday, math, 13. My thick accent and uncoordinated tongue led to malicious, belittling remarks. Thus, my hatred of speech therapy transferred to pickles and my culture. The pickling process has 3 primary steps: hunting, adding dill and vinegar, and fermentation. First, hunting can be as effortless as stepping into one's garden to pick cucumbers or traveling hundreds of miles hand-picking mushrooms in a secluded mute forest. The tranquility of these settings transferred to my speech. I was a speechless toddler refusing to speak Polish or English. My ALIA, speech delay, introduced me to speech therapists early on. The stubborn refusal to move my tongue against the roof of my mouth to construct words led me to fall behind in both languages. This late onset fostered my thick English accent and lisp, comparable to a bit of seasoning on a typical Midwestern dialect. Dill and vinegar season a jar of cucumbers or mushrooms by intensifying the taste and promoting the right conditions for fermentation. Dill gives up a subtle taste like a lisp, a subtle distortion of the placement of the tongue. In contrast, vinegar has a distinctive, acidic, pungent flavor like an accent. Vinegar initiates the circumstances where the bacteria and creates lactic acid vital for preservation and fermenting of the vegetable. This final phase requires time and patience, such as speech therapy. I spent 13 years modifying my thick Eastern European accent into a slight stutter, giving no indication that I am bilingual. I still can't pronounce the TH sounds, but my dialect is identical to the average Midwestern accent. A pickle is technically a cucumber, but the taste is vastly different. The pickling process and converting my foreign accent have the same steps and results. Conformity, juxtapositioning, authenticity. Conformity isn't the solution if it obliterates all traces of authenticity. However, I revealed my true self through adherence to societal norms. Through conformity, an extrovert was born. I was once labeled as mute, and now I'm a social butterfly. Talking is what defines me, and getting anointed as annoying holds no value. I ignored adverse comments to learn to be appreciated of my disposition and culture. I began devouring pickles for lunch once again and embraced my identity as a first-generation student and American. I no longer wish for my mom to be a PTA mom or for my dad to speak English. I can't blame him. I'm a Polish school dropout. I no longer wanted to be a normal suburban American girl. The Doll franchise doesn't sell only one stereotypical American girl. They sell American girls from cultures from every corner of the earth. I could be American while not diminishing my Polish identity. Dill, sweet, sour, kosher, Kool-Aid, and cinnamon are all types of pickles, but their individuality emerges in the spotlight. Thank you. Next up is Jane Kim.
Hello, everyone. This is a piece I wrote called Vivid Lenses. Every waking and dying moment, my eyes flutter. Open, close, open, close, open. In some parallel world exists an unending blurred painting of shapes and colors. Not that the stray hairs frayed on someone's head is black or the blank dusted painting on the wall is square, but that the solitude of taking a shower is of chaos and strobing spiderwebs, and the smile on someone's face is of a blinding tangerine on the headlights of an oncoming car moments before it collides. There is no explanation as to why existence is so disfigured in this state. It can be anything and everything, coexisting and contradicting itself all at once. It isn't just an interpretation. It isn't just a delusion. It isn't just me. It just is. The universe bleeds like paint, and it comes in hot flashes as I attempt to grasp that moment before it's gone forever, and only the ghost of the limb lingers. Seeping into my vision like watercolors soaking a thin sheet, and pulsing like it's speaking to me in a touch too powerful, yet too delicate to verbalize. It's in the energy, not in the metaphor that I can visit so vividly and picture so distinctly. At what moment is it all real? Because I can feel everything I can never feel and see everything I can never see in the vertigo of black and white and everything in between. Going back, as if in a facade of normality, I would define it as a delusion. It's hard to not squint when you're standing directly in front of the sun and when your entire essence is enlightened. The existence of all makes more sense than ever before, yet holds more questions than can be answered. The power of the world is just a shift between the eyes, and when I desire to escape, once more, I close them. My lashes flutter, and my breathing slows, my chest rising and settling in the peaks and crashes of tidal waves on a chilly autumn morning. I drown myself in that white noise in a world apart from us all, where the loudest thing I could hear is the exhalation of my own breath and the thumping of my chest as I shut my eyes to wash my worries away with the current of the darkness. I wait for a beam of light, a spark of creation, or some kind of message from the universe telling me that it holds a truth deeper than the surface I used to witness. All problems seem to fade away when a vast array of beauty forms before me, knowing that it's always there, lingering in the vibrations of even the stillest parts of what I touch. It always flows, whispering faintly behind my ear, blowing through my hair, shuddering between my teeth, and my fingertips naturally curl as if to clutch what's there in the darkness, but never in the light. Something so phenomenal, so precious, and so unknown. Each visit to that pause of the other world stains me in a streak of ink until the dullness of my hue is no longer a muted gray. If not for time, I would still be there. That's how it is in this world too. And all we have left to do is to treasure and remember the little things that bring us joy in each instance it greets us. And in that everything after, we can find somewhere in our hearts where it all falls to place in the end. Thank you. Next up, we have Emily DeRoyne.
I want to first give, oh, my bad. My bad. Okay, great start. I want to first give a shout out to Miss O'D's first period class. And then this is a piece I wrote called The Girl in the Hallway. A backpack and a ponytail bump past me in the hallway. As quickly as I can, I look up and smile. I search for her eyes in the crowded space, but I cannot meet them. The girl is walking towards her friend at a pace on the cusp of running. But before she reaches her, before she can wrap her arms around her friend's shoulders and tell her about everything she wants to tell her about, she turns her head back quickly, her ponytail swinging to the side, and for just a moment, she looks at me. And for this moment, I am ready, like an 11th century knight charging to the front lines. I have trained for this moment, shed my blood, sweat, and tears to be ready for this moment. With eyes as soft as I can make them, and the warmest smile I can muster, I look back at her. Sorry, my bad, she says. And like a well-trained soldier, I react quickly. No, not at all. It was my bad. And the girl smiles back at me. And in that moment, I want nothing more than to make that smile tangible. I want it turned into a badge and sewn onto a uniform, made into a trophy and placed on my shelf. I want it as a souvenir that I can add to my keychain because I want to remember it. I want to remember that she wasn't mad at me, that my quick reflexes, that my training to never appear mad or annoyed or inconvenienced in any way, to never anger or offend or bother, worked. I won the battle. I have bothered no one, angered nobody. The girl with the ponytail and the backpack, whose name I do not know and probably never will, does not dislike me. And for some reason, that feels like victory. I have one more short piece that I'm going to read. I've never snuck out to meet a boy or steal a kiss late at night. I've yet to be serenaded, and I am no one's muse. My star-crossed lover and my rival family are that of fairy godmothers and flying cars. My life is not like the movies or the books or the songs or the sonnets, but I don't think my heart needs another's to feel whole. Because if I'm 14 lines shy of Shakespeare's best, I'll write odes instead. An ode to hours spent asleep and how much I love the ordinary. An ode to being somebody more than somebody's and empty balconies. And an ode to me, because I am a girl who writes odes to herself, and that is a story worth telling. Next up, we have Ria Mukherjee.
Hey everyone, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Anderson's first period class. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm a senior, so I applied to college in the fall, and what I'm going to read for you today is an extension of my Common App essay that I submitted. November 20th, 2016 was the end of my girlhood. The date stains itself in my memory because of the newfound confusion I experienced to the supposed site of a mini murder scene in my undergarments that Sunday morning in the bathroom. My once-a-year, 30-minute classroom health lectures had finally become a reality, and I had no idea what to do. I mean, what even is a period? While I appreciated the support my family gave me every month, it couldn't stop the embarrassment and shame I felt when I was on my period. I shoved my bright orange pads down the waistband of my pants, and I sprayed buckets of perfume on my clothes so no one could smell my menstrual blood. The summer of 2017, I attended Harper College's summer camp for the first time, and one morning, I sat in my chair, and it was as if water had been released from a dam. I thought to myself, there's no way you just peed yourself. I excused myself to the bathroom with my backpack, and I sat in the bathroom stall, shocked to observe that my Aunt Flo had come to town a week earlier than expected. Luckily, I had my pad in my bag, but as I was grabbing it, somebody else walked into the bathroom. Now, normally I would carry on with my business, but the presence of this stranger interrupted my private space. I patiently sat in the stall waiting for her to go away because I couldn't have her hear the loudness of my pad opening. The shrill would reveal my menstrual secret. I waited for 10 minutes hoping she would just leave quickly, but that was not the case. She sat in her bathroom stall for those 10 minutes, just as quiet as me. I wondered, what could she have been doing? I couldn't wait any longer to change my pad, so I slowly opened the pad's wrapping. But its stickiness echoed in the entire room, and I couldn't hide my period anymore. Now, the stranger didn't kick down the doors of my stall and point her fingers at me. She didn't hysterically laugh at the fact that she knew I was on my period. She didn't bully me as I sprinted out of my stall and lightly rinsed my hands to avoid detection because she simply didn't care. I recalled this experience in quarantine during the pandemic when I accidentally bled onto my sofa. The idea of shame came rushing back to me. I remembered feeling weird in my skin while on my period because I felt alone and almost inhuman. But the 3 years in between those two experiences showed me that I was never truly alone. In that time, I gave away my extra pads or Advil when asked, sat on the sidelines with my fellow crampers during PE, and heard countless pads open in bathrooms. Yet all of our period chatter was hush-hush. I realized we weren't hiding our periods from each other, we were hiding them from society. I share these experiences with you not because I want you to feel uncomfortable right now, but because I want you to be aware of the narrative that has been pushed on to all of us. We have been taught to be uncomfortable and shy away from conversations about menstruation, and all that has led to is a greater stigmatization of a normal biological function. Deconstructing my period shame during the pandemic led me to research the effects of period stigma on society, and I learned that there are several problems of menstrual inequity in the US and around the world. In November of 2020, I was lucky enough to host a period product drive right here at Fremd to donate to the Palatine Food Pantry. And my interest in menstrual product accessibility expanded into the classroom, and I gave my sophomore year persuasive speech and wrote my AP Lang research paper on why pads and tampons should be free. Now I'm a lot more open about my menstruation, as you can tell. Talking to other people with uteruses about my period has bonded us because we could relate to one another. My womanhood allowed my mind to become stronger from the pain my body had to endure. My womanhood allowed my spirit to become more socially aware and more compassionate. My womanhood allowed my life to be filled with loving and trusting people who understand my struggles. My womanhood is something I now celebrate, and I'm glad my girlhood is over. Thank you. Next up is Bella Skiba.
Hi, my name is Bella, and I'm going to be reading the computer. I'm going to be reading a piece about my first love. And it is called Your Song. Your song, like any other, starts out with an intro. It moves by pretty quickly, but all the instruments mix together to form something that exerts this unexplainable, unforgettable feeling that will stay with us forever. Oh, is it? Oh. Oh. Your song moves on to a first verse with an undeniably upbeat melody. One line really sticks out from the others. Don't get too comfortable, but never stop falling. Of course, no one notices the first part, including you and me. It's only the first verse. There's so much more to look forward to, like how great the chorus will be or what resounding feeling the song will leave behind by the end. We're enjoying how free-falling had never felt so free before this. Still, the beginning has no say in how a song, especially yours, ends up. Your song starts off the pre-chorus saying, just stop thinking this is too good without the to be true. Just stop looking behind you and let yourself go. To make everything even better, this is where the instrumentals start giving us the chills, and everything else that's being sung is going straight to the heart. Your song goes on to the chorus. Where are we going? All that matters is we're going together. Who knew I would ever be able to love? All that matters is I am. What will my life become? All that matters is it looks like heaven right now. Who knew I would ever be able to love? All that matters is I am. Your song continues on with the second verse. Things are chill, and everyone knows by now that this song is simply amazing without really trying. At least that's what two of the lines get at. You and me, side by side, not even having to talk to know this is perfection. I can't help but hope things stay this way forever. Your song runs to the second chorus, which repeats itself, except for some new lines at the end. All that matters is I am, all that matters is I am. Not saying the L word turned out to be dangerously, beautifully powerful. The L word, not saying the L word turned out to be dangerously, beautifully powerful. Your song surprises us all now during this bridge, and people begin shedding tears at what could have been, what almost was. That last line hits, I'm sorry, and it's all gone in a flash. Your song, like any other, moves on to the final chorus. Again, it repeats itself, but the last stanza changes. Remember all the good times, the smiles, laughs, and words. Oh, please remember those words, especially the ones we didn't say. The L word, not saying the L word turned out to be dangerously, beautifully powerful. The outro comes faster than expected, and those instruments come together one last time to remind us that all good songs have to come to an end, but the past will forever be a part of us. I will always remember you and your song, the one that sounds like ours but is all yours. Sometimes I wish I could have listened to it before it got released and played, before I got played, but there wouldn't have been any fun in that, right? No matter what, though, you will always be my first love. There will always be a place in my heart with your name on it, no matter where I go in life, no matter who I end up with. The power of you, my first love, will never go away. I will always remember you and your song, The L Word. Thank you. And next up is my friend Gia Dhaliwal.
Hi, I'm Gia, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Miss O'Donnell's first period class. Just a quick context warning before I begin. My piece does talk about racism, so I would just like to get into it now. When I was in elementary school, I was considered one of the smart kids that would sit at the back tables and learn a unit ahead of everyone else. When I was in elementary school, I met my best friend in a class of 9 students. When I was in elementary school, I learned how to play my first instrument with countless painful hours just for me to swap to a different one. When I was in elementary school, we would have this field day where my favorite thing to do was splash water on people. But when I was in elementary school, I was discriminated against. When I was in elementary school, everyone would rush down the cafeteria stairs, trying to be the first person in the lunch line. Personally, I didn't like school lunches, so I would just sit down and save a seat for my friends. There was always this group of boys who all seemed very close. They were always the first ones to the door, although I never seemed to mind. I just grabbed my home lunch that my mom packed for me with care. When I was in elementary school, I was the only Indian kid. My dad wore a turban to demonstrate his pride in our culture, but I had never expected to see the day where I would get mocked for my culture, especially by that group of boys. When I was in elementary school, I was always taught to respond when I was called upon. I heard someone call my name, and I swiftly turned my head around. I immediately saw 2 of the boys. I watched as they took their hoodies that were tied neatly around their waists and plopped them on their head. I initially didn't understand what they were trying to do until I heard one of them say, "Hey, Gia, look, I'm your dad." At that moment, I understood exactly what was going on. All I felt was rage, anger, maybe even a bit of pain. All I remember was kicking them in the shins twice and walking away. When I was in elementary school, there was a secret back area with extra cafeteria tables surrounding it. Later on, during the lunch period, the two boys decided to apologize while asking me to meet them in the back area near the cafeteria tables. I agreed because at the time I did feel guilty for kicking them. This would have been the perfect opportunity for me to apologize as well. When I was in elementary school, we had this class pet snake. It used to stay in our science lab, and I was very excited to feed it after this apology was over. I went to the back and noticed that the two boys were already there. But not even a split second later, I felt my back slam into the cold stone. I let out a brief cough, and I quickly tried to inhale. I instantly felt a cold hand wrap around my neck and tighten its grasp like a python tightening around its prey. But it was not the class pet. When I was in elementary school, I was told to never hurt anyone, even if it was an act of self-defense. I wanted to do something, but I couldn't think. My brain was completely scattered. I couldn't even breathe. All I could do was accept my potential fate, but I really did not want to go out this way. One thought and one thought only rushed through my head. Get him off. I kicked, I shoved, I even tried to flail a bit. The last thing, I tried everything. The last thing that I remember doing was giving one last shove. And at that point, I couldn't believe it. I got out. When I was in elementary school, I saw my life change in ways that I had never expected. I even felt my whole existence fade away. I began understanding things that I probably shouldn't have at the time, but I also learned that I need my walls to be broken down to rebuild into something more. But most importantly, in elementary school, I learned to be proud of who I am. It's not something that I should be ashamed of or even neglect. It's something that I should be aware of and most importantly be proud of, just like my dad was. Some things like culture, religion, and race can't be changed. People shouldn't judge or hurt another person for something of that extent, even something that they hold so close and cherish so much. Because as a wise person once said, the beauty of the world lies in the diversity of its people, and that is something I will never forget. Thank you. And next up is Hong Tao Hu.
Is the mic quality good? Okay, thanks. Okay, shout outs to Anderson first period, obviously. So, this one is a bit more niche. Second shout out is to those of you who knew what the Scum Manifesto is. This one is for you. Don't cheer. Just know. Okay. So, Sophie postulates a pretend world in her album, Oil of Every Pearl's On Inside. So let's talk about a real one, a brave new one. Let's talk about comfort, about sacrifice, about God, about poetry and love and pain and sin, especially sin. Our starting point is Dante's Inferno. Layer 2, lust. Now, popular culture's progenitors of the circle of hells levels to us that lust is when people are driven in life not by reason, but by instinct. And as punishment, they're buffeted by a whirlwind, constantly moving without any chance of rest. And that's a good start, but let's do one step further. Dante is correct with his low ranking of lust because it is, at first glance, okay. The thing you lust after is not necessarily bad. Money, power, fame, riz. Look at that poem structure, right? However, the reason is deficient. Your desire is of the destination, not the journey. So with this definition, lust is when you desire the object over what it means. Let's begin with wanting. What do you want? Or since I'm speaking and for you, what do I want? I want fame. I want perfection. I want to become an idea. The eye at the center of the needle, headstrong beauty, thrumming in the vein. But like Thomas says in Black Swan, you could be perfect, but you're a coward. And what if you're a coward? Guess I'm a coward. I just want to be right, says Mitsuki. And nobody doesn't hate a coward. We all do sometimes, right? So what do, right? We've sacrificed feeling all right. We've all lusted for something because we can't prove it, whatever it is. We've all wanted to become something greater than ourselves. But this is also about art too. How many of you have made art because you wanted to make something beautiful, something perfect? How many of you have roamed the field and burned just to make something great? And if you've done that, I'm sorry, bestie, I have to tell you something, that's lust. When you try to make good art, you're choking authenticity. Look, you've got taste, we've got taste. We all like good music, like Taylor Swift, I don't know, right? When you make something absolutely garbage, you hate it. You know it's garbage because you've seen garbage stuff before, and you've hated yourself because it would never measure up. And perhaps you've hated someone else. Perhaps you've hated someone else for making something quote unquote cringe, something vulnerable, something tender, but absolutely unself-aware. Look at me, I'm self-aware, this is cringe, right? Hey, but that doesn't mean you can be an insolent wretch about it. 30 seconds, okay? Give me 30 seconds. Kids, do not engage in unnecessary cruelty. Do not engage in unnecessary cruelty to those people who are not self-aware, okay? If someone is talking about their family issues / mental health / whatever health issues, right? And they're indulgent in it, stuck in it, wallowing in it, unable to move past it, consider the fact that maybe they are in pain, that the pain is real, that it is a real thing that makes you, that you have to be someone to empathize with it. It does not have to be beautiful for you to understand that you should love them. Understood? Oh, counter-argument, right? Counter-argument, right? This is debate. If you're gonna level at me that maybe it's, let's say, they just want attention, consider the fact that doesn't everyone? Pain does not have to be pure for it to level itself to you, to prove itself to you, provoke you to express empathy back to our message. We're talking about lust, right? Okay, Dante's second level of hell. Here's a secret that everyone's told you, right? They told you this in elementary school or whatever. Maybe they didn't, but being yourself is cool, right? They've told you that. But it's true. It's a cliche, but it's true, right? When you make art, you should be wanted to be by who you are. You should be loved for who you are, what part of you is in the art, not what you do in it. Craft moves and the like, or alliteration does not mean you are a good artist. What is the content of the work makes you a good artist. Yeah, sure, you maybe want to be bigger than yourself, but what are you but a flesh-filled sack of guts, recapitulant gestures of dead dolls, no hands and no strings? Yes, this is about as I lay dying, and in the book, we see the foul fruits of this largeness, this perfection. No one's a coward, not even ants, the plotting patriarch of this family. But how does it end? Tell me, Anderson, first period, how does it end? No spoilers, but not a single person's all right, as their lust for bearing Addie leads them to be buffeted by the winds of fate. But I digress to 95% of my audience, so please don't begrudge me, numb. Back to art and being yourself. So, what happens when you're self, right? Let's talk about a trap that you can fall into, the whirlwind of identifiers and how it makes you lose yourself. Example, right? Let's talk about TikTok. I'm a boomer. What makes a good TikTok? The views or the likes. I don't have TikTok, but obviously, right? It's a signifier of worth, the number that can prove and rank your position. And we've all seen other signifiers, right? The SAT score, the GPA, the test score, the college ranking, the admissions letter. And when you ask someone that, sometimes what you're really asking is, am I better than you? And this is one of my points. Get ready. I cannot stress this enough. I am looking at you. Better is a trap. Okay? Like Benchtopia says, when I establish a hierarchy, I replace love with power, of which is the opposite of love. When you aim for power over love, you have hierarchy. You lose your being because you commit the sin of lust. What matters to you, what good means, is a number. It is nothing transcendental. Not if you made something beautiful like Plath writes, choking the aged and the meek, the weak hothouse baby in its crib, how a poem like that can make you jam. No, that means nothing. What matters is if it gets in a poetry publication, how many people see it. It's not what it means. Good art has the big number. Big number does not equal good art. So what's the solution, guys? What's the solution? I have to provide you with the solution. Okay, the answer to lust is, well, you guessed it. It's love. It's what you should want. Even Valerie Solanas in the Scum Manifesto says that, well, love is the meaning of life and that the only harm you can do is to harm others. And this is from the woman that said that the man is walking abortion. So you have to make something vulnerable, something trash, because that's you sometimes, and we all love something that's cringe, like yourself. And we want validation, right? That's why we make things to be seen. But remember, class, pull out your copy of Communion, The Female Search for Love by Bell Hooks, and flip to page 118. If someone, quote, if someone loves us, but we are trapped by self-hatred, their love will never reach us. We will question it, devalue it. Value yourself. before you seek approval from others. And yeah, when you're doing that, sure, you love yourself and you put your out to others, they might devalue it. They might say, this is crap, this is trash. You might be rejected by those close to you, by a college, by a lover, by a family, by yourself. And it'll hurt, and it won't be okay. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be okay right now. Maybe one thing will be okay in the future, but I'm not going to offer a platitude. What I will offer instead is something that I really believe, what Rain Fisher Kwan says. Life gets hard, but it goes on. And you're like everyone like that. It gets hard and it goes on. And then life will get better, and then it'll get worse. And then it'll get better. And then it'll get worse. And then it'll get better, and then it'll get worse, and then it'll get better. And that's what art tells us. That's what art tells us. That's wanting the time when it gets better. That's love. Thank you.
Let's give these brave students another hand. Pretty amazing. Anyone have a short piece they want to share? Do you? Ria's going to read us a poem.
Hello, I'm back. So I'm going to share with you an abecedarian poem that I wrote for a project we did in AP Lit called Shine a Light. And I wrote it about my mom and how she works in a predominantly male-dominated field and how she kind of struggles with finding her way through kind of working up the corporate ladder as a woman of color. And the poem is in the perspective of her view. Although I am petite with a kind, welcoming smile, beware of the fire that sits right beneath the surface, counting the hours till another man knocks at the boss's door and tells him my idea with his own twist. Every whisper, chuckle, or retort behind my back, I don't forget, but it piles on so high, I want to quit until I hear, good job, Sanchita. Heaven must be filled with a plethora of thank yous and nice works. I can't wait to get there. Just when I think I'm finally getting respect, a knife to the throat silences me in the conference room, leaving me to sob on the way back home. Mother's Day, I worked. Night after night during Christmas break, I worked, only to be yelled at the morning after for not responding to emails. Pain doesn't faze me anymore. I've put up with it for so long. But question my intelligence, question my work ethic, oh, you better run back home to the mother who fixed all of your problems. Silencing me is a joke. Tattletaling on me makes you a fool. Underestimating me is the worst thing you could do. Vitriol isn't a good color on you, and one day your wage won't compensate for the xenophobic ideals you hold true in your life. You hate me, I know that, but I'm a zealous woman, so I don't care. Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? Come on, you guys didn't have any yesterday. Let's go. Let's think of a question that we can ask. Yeah. Do you have a question? Yeah. The question was, when did you learn to love yourself?
Do you want me to quote Eric Fremd's The Art of Loving? I'm still learning. I think everyone, well, most of you guys here are still learning, so it takes a long time. It's a process, I guess. Yeah.
Great answer. Any other questions? Yeah, right here. Favorite as I lay dying character?
Do you want me to give it to someone else who's also read As I Lay Dying? Do you want me to give it to someone else who's also read As I Lay Dying? Like the other? Okay. Oh my gosh. Darl is my homie. Darl, shut up. Darl is cool. Okay, who's your favorite character?
Definitely Addie. Addie's a queen.
She literally
Addie Bungeon's a queen. But it's kind of valid.
Jane, how about you?
I guess my favorite character would be Dewey Dell. She definitely deserves a lot more than she gives credit for.
Okay, one more question. Yeah, right here. Can't hear you. What was the question? Oh, I thought I heard that. Not the sweet kind, right?
I guess dill. You know, basic but good. Because I know a lot of people don't like pickles, but I only like one type, dill.
Okay, give these guys a hand. Pickles are great. Good job, guys.